What's up, guys? Good morning. Still not feeling 100%, but we're here. Still not feeling 100%. Let me know if the sound is good. It should be good. Let me make sure the music is at a reasonable, normal level. Yeah, let me see. What did the market do yesterday? I'm guessing it was just sideways. Yeah, it didn't really move, which is not unexpected. We did gap up, it looks like, yesterday. So it says to refresh. There we go. All right, yeah, we're here, man. I'm sorry, guys. I'm still not feeling 100%. Yeah, it's been kind of rough. I've been sleeping for 2 days. But we're here. The VIX is down a little bit today, so that's good. Looks like it was up yesterday. So the president has given a 2-week window for diplomatic talks to proceed in Geneva before considering direct involvement with the Middle Eastern conflict. This action cooled tensions, eased some pressures on risk, and caused oil to dip slightly, though prices are still over. If we take a look at them, they're over. They're not over. They're over $73 a barrel. Yeah, oil still elevated. The Fed is cautious. Markets price in rate cuts, but there's still a lot of uncertainty, and they reduced the expectation for rates to 1 rate cut this year is now what they think. UBS flags a fragile recovery, so despite the S&P hovering near record highs, UBS strategists caution that earnings growth, especially in housing, retail, and autos, could falter this summer. A shift towards defensive sector is what they're telling people to do, but I don't know if I agree with that. Maybe we'll see. It depends on what goes on overseas. Crude is still near 3 to 4% weekly gains, with global energy concerns keeping people in focus. We got the Tesla Robotaxi event coming out soon. You can see Tesla back up to 320s ahead of this Robotaxi launch in Austin. Yeah, so oil nearing $74 a barrel, hovering right around that as of this morning. Brent remains around 77 to 77.4. Oil spiked on Middle Eastern tensions, fears of U.S. intervention in the conflict overseas, but then retraced as the White House again delayed any decision for 2 weeks, easing the immediate pressure. Yeah, so we got the Philly Fed data, and it's also quad witching day. So we got some stuff dropping at 8:30. It's not huge, but it might move things. We'll see. What's up, Sam? Ray? Trey? Yeah, dude, I've been sick for days now. I gotta drink some coffee. Oof. Is the music... Am I way too loud? Let me know. It should be okay. But it probably has to do with my mic. I can turn it down a little bit, but... Ooh. Dude, I've been sick laying in bed for 2 days. Yeah, so Tesla robotaxis get a quiet launch, so just 10 select. Just 10 cars in areas. Yeah, quad witching day is a day where generally we get some volatility because of options and futures contracts expiring. And so basically you have multiple different contract types in trading. You have stock options, index options like S&P options, and then you have index futures like the E-mini or the NASDAQ futures contract, right? So today is technically triple. You used to have something called single stock futures, which were like Apple futures or Amazon futures and stuff like that, but they have since gotten rid of that. So now it's technically only triple witching. I still call it quad witching just because it's a day of historical volatility, you know? So generally we get some volatility on days like this. Yo, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. Oh, dude. Yeah, I've been feeling rough for the last few weeks. But I feel better today, I do. My nose has just stopped up. Like, I've been sneezing, like, violently sneezing. And I can't, like, my nose has been hard to breathe out of. And so... All right, so we did this poll. We just did it, but 75 votes. 30. Most people think we're going to be green today. VOO really needs to be rebalanced. It has... Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this isn't allergies. This whole thing's very strange, right? So like Wednesday I tested positive for the flu. It was like a line, it was a faint line, but it was definitely positive. And I felt bad on Wednesday. And then like I did 3 or 4 more tests, flu tests, and they were all negative after that. And I felt like I had a fever. Like I felt terrible. I had terrible cold chills. Like I felt horrible. And I tested myself for everything else as well. So like I tested myself for all the other, strap and everything, C, everything, and that was all negative too. And but I felt like I had a fever. But when I would take my temperature, it would be normal. My temperature, it said I was normal, 98.6, and so it was very weird. And at first I was convinced I had the flu, but based off of how I feel now, I just don't think so. Like, flu feels worse than this. Could be a sinus infection or something, I don't know. Yeah, could be a cold. Yeah, I don't know. All right, and remember, we got the Empire State manufacturing data going live in about an hour. We'll see what that looks like. But yeah, I'm just glad I'm okay. Like, honestly, I've been laying in bed. All right, guys, so we're in this really tight range. I might want to buy this dip. Let's see. Yeah, no, I feel better today. Like, I felt mostly normal when I woke up this morning, except for my nose. Like, I can't breathe out of my nose. Like, I'm using Afrin, but it doesn't help, But I feel better, for sure. Definitely feel better. Yeah, and today we got the Empire State Manufacturing Index. We'll see what that looks like. It's expected at minus 2%. Last time was minus 4%. So we'll see what that looks like. But again, we got a really obvious pennant here. Or not pennant. We got a really obvious little range here. We'll see if we continue to hold this. But next week we got a whole bunch of stuff too. So next week we got PCE, GDP data. We got a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, we got the Philly Fed index, Canadian retail sales. That's it, though. It's kind of boring. Next week, we got Powell speaking for the semi-annual monetary policy report, I'm pretty sure. Oh, dude, I feel like I got to sneeze again. Dude, my sneezes are violent. They're violent. Yeah, so the semi-annual monetary policy report happens twice a year where he speaks to both the House and the Senate. But I'm only seeing it scheduled for the House next week, which is weird. Usually it's the House one day, the Senate the next. So I gotta look up. Okay, yeah, so it's Tuesday and Wednesday next week. Tuesday, House Financial Services Committee Wednesday, Senate. And then we got PCE and GDP data. So okay, so triple witching occurs on the third Friday every month. Third Friday of March, June, September, and December. Today is June 20th, so it marks the expiry of 3 types of contracts simultaneously. Again, stock options, index options, and stock options. So stock options, index options, and index futures is what I meant to say. Those 3 contract types expire today. You can see Palantir rip up this morning. Palantir just broke over 140s. You can see the NASDAQ kind of push up with it here. We'll see if we can get some trades in. The most intense period is really from 3 to 4 p.m. So the power hour right at the closing bell. A 6 to 7 trillion in notional value of options and futures is expiring this cycle, which is the largest on record. Spikes in volumes, volatility, final hour around the market open. As traders roll or hedge their positions, we could get volatility as well, which is what we're going to be covering. Though historical volume often doubles and VIX rises, direction can be unpredictable. Last minute flows can jolt different sectors, so just be careful. Yesterday, a lot of markets were closed. I didn't even stream. The VIX popped over. Like if we look at the VIX here, the VIX gapped up yesterday and then opened up lower this morning after they set that 2-week deadline. But man, I feel much better outside of my sinuses. The problem is like when I sneeze, and tell me if this is bad, but when I sneeze, there's blood in it. I don't know if that's good. Carol said it's just my sinuses being stopped up, but I don't know, man. Kind of freaked me out. But yeah, you want to watch today for market open. And again, like I said, we got the Philly Fed index today at 8:30. So in less than an hour, we got the Philly Fed index. We'll see if that moves things. See if we can trade some here. Yeah, so investors are bracing for 6.5 trillion of notional U.S. options expiring today in a move that could free stocks to swing more wildly. Oil prices rose. People are still worried about Iran and all that stuff going on. Do I want to short this right here? I kind of do. Let me try. I'm going to try to short it like a small position here. Oh man, I just bought regular NQ. This is a challenge account, by the way. So I'm going to cut some of this. I didn't realize this was regular NQ versus the micro. Yeah, I think I just got to cut this. I'm already pretty green on this account, but I got to switch to the micro. It's just not what I want to trade, the regular. I'm good on trading now. This is too risky. We'll start adding in micro contracts. This is what we wanted here. And I like micros, especially on challenge accounts, because I could just kind of add to them. Like I could scale in, give myself the highest probability chance to win. And if I'm wrong, no. Here we go. Nice. All right, so we took some profit, it looks like, but We gotta give it some time now. It's definitely not allergies. I'm not allergic to anything. Like, I'm genuinely not allergic to anything. Like, my house growing up was like a freaking zoo. It really was. Like, my dad's a falconer, so we had, like, hawks. He also raised quail. We had cats, dogs. I had snakes. We had parakeets, birds. You know. And so the good part of having a house like that growing up is you're probably not allergic to much. And we also had, you know, like I grew up in the generation where we actually played outside as well. So I'm not really allergic to anything that I know of. It's definitely not pollen. Like I can literally swim in pollen and I'm fine. My wife, on the other hand, she can't get anywhere near it. But the point is, it's probably not allergies. All right, so we're in a position here. We have 8 contracts, micro contracts on a challenge account. So I can add 10 just to make it even because I don't know, I'm OCD. And then we'll see if we could correct here. I like the top of this range. I feel like there's a likelihood of us pulling back here. Again, I'm going to preface everything I do on the stream with I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Understand CFTC 4.41. Hypothetical or simulated performance have limitations. I can't guarantee anything. Don't copy me. With that said, I think we got a pretty good chance of like a dip down to here. This level right around here, like somewhere around here, I think we can pull back to. And so we got some time. And so I think I'll let it just sit. Yeah, I don't like Sudafed or any of that stuff because it makes me all hyper. And then, like, yeah, I just don't like it. I'm not going to take it. Yeah, I mean, if it goes straight up, it's all good. Again, in this challenge account, we are already up $700. So we've got some cushion to play with if we're wrong. And I can also add probably maybe one more chunk here. I'm definitely going to trade these challenge accounts a little bit more risky than a funded account. So we'll just let it work. There we go. Circle. Is Circle still going crazy? Let me see. Circle. Wow, dude. I didn't even realize yesterday or Wednesday, Circle went ridiculously up. Circle's now at 223s right now. It can't hold this, though. Hold on. What's the PE ratio of Circle? I gotta look this up. Okay. I can't even find. What's Circle's EPS in the last 4 months? This trailing 12-month EPS is 32. It should not be anywhere near here. Yikes. What just happened to me on this trade? Whoa. Well, I'm glad this is a challenge account because some type of good news just happened. And we're relatively break even actually on the account, but man. Some type of good news just happened in markets. Let me check. Yikes. We'll figure it out. Hold on. Whoa. I'm guessing there's some type of good Middle Eastern. Senior Iranian official says Iran is ready to discuss limitations on its uranium enrichment, according to Reuters, is the news that just came out. So the news that just came out again, senior Iranian official says that Iran is ready to discuss limitations on its uranium enrichment, according to Reuters, is the news that just dropped. That's the news that just punished my challenge account trade. Yeah, that's what just happened. Luckily, I'm going to switch to my challenge account, or my funded account here. And, but yeah, that's the news I just dropped. And again, it basically had to do with they're ready to discuss limitations on uranium, according to Reuters, which basically means they might come to the table and try to work with us. You know. Yeah, and I'm not going to take those trades on my funded account. But man, what a rip. And again, people saying they told you so. Listen, I'm not against you. You might have been right. But also, some breaking geopolitical news happened about 2 minutes ago that caused this spike. So it's not a technical move up. This is 100% the news article. Technical moves do not cause this right here. Just to clarify, like that's just not how it goes. This happens from breaking breaking news of some sort. And again, the news was that Iran is ready to discuss limitations on uranium enrichment. So that's what just happened. Looking at our poll number, 285 votes say mostly people voting green. The news is that they say overseas officials that Iran is ready to discuss limitations on uranium enrichment, according to Reuters. This is Reuters reporting the news. Ugh. 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 Oh my gosh. Sneezes, man. Ugh. Ugh. Oh, dude, I'm sick. Ugh. Ugh. All right. Yeah, so I'm looking at this deeper here. They said Iran is ready to discuss limitations. The role of European powers is now more prominent as Tehran is unwilling to engage with U.S. amid strikes. We need to hear E3's initiative on the issue. Zero enrichment will undoubtedly be rejected, especially now under these strikes. So again, I don't know how confident I am that a deal is actually going to get done here. And now we're starting to dip down. Let's see if we hold. I'm going to have to... Okay. Is it time to buy the dip here? Is the question. Circle is up there. The question I have is Circle gonna hold? Look at Circle. It's at 225s right now. 225s. Is this gonna hold? Is the question I have. I don't know. Yeah, concerned citizen, you're going to get banned for that comment, brother. Is Circle coming back down? I don't know. Yeah, again, I can only imagine it does. It shouldn't... I mean, look. I'm trying to look at the history of Circle. Can I have AI? Look up Circle. Last 4 quarters of EPS. All right, so according to AI, Circle's last 4 quarters of EPS, they say it's not fully accessible. The trailing 12-month EPS is 35, though. Okay, so yeah, so basically Circle, we can give Circle an average, it's 35 cents a share for the last year. So divided by 4, the average EPS for Circle quarterly is around $8.75. Is that justifying Circle to be up to $224 a share? What's the PE ratio here? It's got to be crazy, no? Based off of how much they're earning. The trailing PE ratio stands at around 2,495. Is this right? Hold on. Let's ask Gemini. Gemini is usually pretty accurate. $2,500 PE ratio? It doesn't have negative earnings. Oh, wait, they recently IPO'd, didn't they? So that's different. I think this is a little different. They recently IPO'd. I forgot. They IPO'd on the 5th. That's a little different. Like, if this company had been established and then all of a sudden ran, that's one thing. That's something where I might actually buy put options or something like that on it. But Circle's an IPO, recent IPO over the last 30 days. It's so, I don't know. I think there's still risks just because IPOs can run. How about LSU? Tomorrow, LSU plays Coastal Carolina. At the very least, they'll be number 2. They beat Arkansas. They call it quad witching, but it's triple witching technically. So we got a little dip here. Is it time to buy this pullback? Yeah, I've been sick, so I haven't. Whoa! I turned my monitor off accidentally here, guys. Hold on. Sheesh, dude. I accidentally pressed power on my mic. You gotta turn my music back on? There it is. I actually turned the power off on my monitor just now. I gotta put this thing away. Yeah, y'all just be careful today. Man, y'all just be careful. All right, we're at 21,970s here, 21,970s. We got the Philly Fed index. $8.30. Again, we got Philly Fed Index, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. That's in about 30 minutes here. We'll put a timer up. Is it time to buy the dip here? Maybe. Yeah, so we got the Philly Fed Index. $8.30. Yeah, technically it's triple witching, but it varies. All right, so we've had this little dip. Do we propel higher now, or do we go sideways leading into quad witching day? Yeah, Warren could buy in. We'll see. Yeah, I'm trying to find. All right, there we go. So here's the rebound back up here. It's a big pop. Yeah, so we got this big rip up to test these highs up here. Let's see if we continue. We're up here. Yeah, still trying to go higher. Yeah, Kroger posted earnings this morning as well. I don't know how influential they're going to be, though. See if we go sideways range or not. I mean, it is the triple witching day, so maybe. We're up like 10% from bottom. Yeah, he could have bought already. But yeah, Kroger posted these earnings. I mean, LSU's clearly not awful. They're in the top 5 teams almost every year in college football. You know, baseball team wins probably more than a lot of other teams, you know. So, I mean, they're definitely objectively not awful. You're just mad, it seems like. All right. Should I buy this dip here? I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I kind of want to buy this dip, but it keeps like bouncing back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. See if it holds. We got the push up because what is the news? Because a senior Iranian official said that they were willing to work with us on enrichment stuff. I'm not really mad. I'm just explaining, like, LSU's objectively not awful, you know, so you're probably just trying to troll. What's up, Tiny? How you doing? I haven't even been able to watch their games, to be honest. I've been sick. So I should have bought this dip a little bit more. I'm still watching Circle, though. Palantir at 140s. Yeah, the news that Pawn just posted in chat is the reason markets are up big. See, now we're pulling back some. I kind of want to buy this dip again. Oof. Dude, I've just been sneezing like crazy, honestly. Look at Circle still rise here, too. Look at Circle. Up to 230s almost. Kind of crazy. See if the market bounces. Yeah, I can't see. I'm trying to look up what the last 4 quarters of EPS is. All I can really gather is that they have an average quarterly EPS of 875, which would mean their PE is pretty high. Like, it's hard to tell because if they have a negative quarter, you can't even look at PE, right? So according to AI, they have 35. So if you take 228, you divide it by 35. Or that's wrong. If you take 228 and you divide it by 0.35, they have a PE ratio right now of around 651. Which ain't good, you know, which ain't good. Again, it's hard for me to tell whether they are actually this high or not. Yeah, Towers. Luckily, I was in a challenge account when I was trading when this big news showed up. But I kind of got beat up on it too. And it's all good. Again, a challenge account loss doesn't matter too much. I trade a little bit of everything, to be honest. Bitcoin sitting back up at 106. That's good for Bitcoin. Bitcoin back up to, yeah, 106. See if it holds. This looks like a flag pattern here, though. But it's really hard to tell. Like, let's see if we put in higher lows here. We are starting to see some red show up. Retracing a little bit here. Let's draw some levels. I should probably do that already. Here's 75 right here. $25 maybe. So it's hard to tell. We're in this really weird range. We also have 22,000, I think, right here, which we've kind of tried to get over, but it's been hard to hold over that level. So we'll see. Definitely got to watch 22,000, I think, here. Watch this little range. We got this low down here too. I think we should probably look at as well. This low, like right here. Here, maybe. I'll buy 75 the pullback if we get it, but. I've talked about Circle a lot. PE still looks a little heavy. You know, so we've talked about Circle a good bit. The issue is, I don't know if it's good either way. It looks like it might come back down some from where it's at now. But the other problem is that it's a recent IPO, and those are usually a little bit riskier because those can run. You know what I mean? Like, you can see those recent IPOs run big, and they already have, of course, but like it could run more relative to a stock that's been established, if that makes sense. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here with Circle. The fills that I've been getting are just not good. I gotta try to get a little bit better fills. We got this big spike here. Damn, dude, my fills are just not good at all. I gotta try limit orders. Is there a better way on Top Step X to use limit orders? Because I've been trying to use market orders, but I don't think the fills are great. It could just be the spread right now, though. All right, remember, guys, in 18 minutes, we got the Philly Fed data coming out, so you just want to be ready. And I'll show you some of the other trades we're taking here. Like in this one, we're already up 1350 right now. But that's a pullback here, and I don't want to give too much back. Like, we've already basically got ourselves 1500 on the day, and so we're not going to go too crazy here. I'd love to see a bounce back. I might add one here and see if we push higher. I think we're close enough to 22,000 for the market to want to test it, but I don't think it's guaranteed. And it could take some time to get back up there. I'll take some off here just to protect the trade. We'll let the last little bit work. Yeah, can I add the bid and ask though? Where do I add the bid and ask with Top Step X? I'm used to using market orders, but I gotta find a way to use the bid and ask for sure. All right, so we're green here. There we go. I'm gonna add a little bit to this, see if it holds. There we go. The hard part is getting follow through. Like I've been I'm pretty green on these trades if you look at them, but the hard part is like getting follow through. Yeah, like that retracement doesn't follow through. See the fills, but and I'm wondering if the market's going to be choppy today leading into everything too. There's circles still pulling back. There we go. Yeah, appreciate it, Pawn. Thank you, sir. Hey, we got 14 minutes. 14 minutes. Well, Top Step X has the features as well. I just don't know how to use them, to be honest. Oh. Oof. Like, I feel like I need to sneeze again. Ah, okay, I see. So you can't do this on Top Step X. Yeah, that's what I thought. Top Step X is great. I need to expand what I can see here, though. Oh, I just have it hidden. It's my fault completely. Yes. All right, I found it. Let me try. I could probably enter with market orders, but I need to sell with The So yeah, we're short right now. I just want to see if we retrace back down some of this lane. Y'all just be careful this morning. Oh. Yep. Let's see if we get a cleaner breakdown here. We'll be happy if we do. Just need one more push and we should be basically at 1500. The problem is we just get chopped so easy here. Yeah. Yeah, see. Now we're back. We're still up 900 on the day, but we're just kind of horsing around right now. We'll be all right. Hey, thank you, Cosmo. Yeah, I'm on their new dashboard. It's really nice. Yeah, I figured out the limit order thing, but look at this spike up. Let's see if there's any breaking news. So Johnson & Johnson receives positive CHMP opinion for the treatment of patients with previously untreated mantle cell who would be eligible for some other stuff. Tesla is set to open its first showrooms in India in July, according to Bloomberg. Kroger had earnings that come out. Let me see if there's any breaking news, though. Not that I see. We got a couple different ones that we're trading here. We'll switch to a different one. Look at this spike here. Wow. What's your stance on Tesla? I mean, I think Tesla's doing okay. I think Elon needs to stop being so political. All right, look at that dip here. Pretty big, large dip. We're just kind of stagnating a little bit here sideways here. It does look like a flag, but whether that flag plays out is a different story. Big red candle. See if we pop back up. Any thoughts on the SPY? Yeah, we can put the SPY up. I mean, slightly red today, but not much. Like basically right around flat, break even for the SPY. We got an ascending trend line here. Doesn't mean it's going to follow it, but we do have an ascending trend line here. So we just got a big pullback. I think we got to watch Nvidia and Apple here. I got circle up, but here's Nvidia. Nvidia's trying to go green, but this pullback is not small. Sell-off happening, squeeze down happening. I'm watching some other breaking news. Yeah, so the Tesla news is dropping here. We did go right back down to that 75 level. Look at that. We posted right off of it. Now we're looking like a flat top up here. We'll see if we bounce back. Again, we got 5 minutes until we got the Philly Fed manufacturing data going live. Covered calls on Tesla. Yeah. I don't know how much the Philly Fed data is going to move anything, but it might move stuff. We'll see. $22,000 is right here, though. So we got really close to that and then rejected. I think a lot of people thought we were going to test 22K again, and then we just came right back down, unfortunately. So, interesting to see where we're going to go here. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Circle. Circle's just up crazy amounts. Doesn't make any sense. But it's a recent IPO. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you don't know why. Honestly, seems like we might come back down here, but you never know. All right, guys, we got 3.5 minutes until the Philly Fed data shows up. How do you feel when the market will crash again by 10%? What do you mean? So, European Union will not be moving ahead with plans to impose a new price cap on Russian oil, according to Politico, citing sources, citing concerns in the Middle East. Yeah, we got 3 minutes left. I don't know how big this is going to be of an influence over markets, but you know, we got Canadian data coming out too. So we got like Canadian retail sales, we got the Philly Fed index, and more. So we got some stuff happening here, to be honest. But we'll see what the state of manufacturing is after this data. All right, so now we're spiking up some here. All right, 2 minutes, chat. All right, we got a minute and a half until the Philly Fed data. It's expected today to show up at minus 1.7 to minus 2. Minus 1.7 to minus 2. It shows up. I don't really have a timer. We got about a minute and a half left. But again, it's expected at minus 1.7. Minus 2, minus 1.7. Anywhere around that is basically what's expected at. We'll see if we show up there or not. We're right around 22,000, so I'm curious to see what happens. We got about a minute left here. 1 minute. They get about 1 minute left. We'll see what we get. All right, guys, we got about 30 seconds. Hit the like button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on stream. We appreciate the love. Thanks so much. And all right, guys, 25 seconds. $15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here's the report. All right, Philly Fed Index showed weaker than expected at minus 4 versus minus 2 expected. Minus 4 versus minus 2 expected. Weaker than expected manufacturing data. Minus 4 versus minus 2 expected. Market slightly turned down from this report. But you never know how the market's going to respond here. But again, minus 4 versus minus 2 or minus 1.7, depending on which metric you look at. Again, not the biggest release, but we'll see if we influence things here. You know, we're sitting close enough to... I'll put this data up on screen. Minus 4 versus minus 2 expected. We're sitting close enough to 22,000 for me to kind of be interested here. Let's see if we get a spike. Yeah, I'll put this data up on screen as well so you can catch it. Right, so here's the data on the bottom of the screen now if you want to check it out. Look at this spike here. Wow. We did bounce right here at this 75 level. Interesting. Yeah, you can see it at the bottom of the screen. I don't know if this is what moved markets. Canadian PPI should have been 1.2%. Previous was 2%, so better than expected. Philly Fed Business Survey showed up at -4. Expected -1.5. Tesla is set to open showrooms in India. We saw that news coming out this morning. Market's very stagnant, though. It's not really doing anything. It's Friday. It's quad witching day, triple witching, whatever you want to call it. Whoa, big spike. Look at that move. Whoa, over 22,000. I'm curious to see if we had any other breaking news show up. Hold on, let me see. All right, so the president said he's concerned about 2011 Libya-style outcome in Iran. That news just came out. I don't know if that's what caused this spike or not, but yeah, look at us rip back up here. So now we're testing 22,000 again. Big level. Very important milestone level here. Looks like we're popping over it. It's so hard to tell whether we're going to hold or not right here, though. Like, we're right at 22,000. All right, so the Fed's Waller says central banks should look through tariff effects on inflation. The Fed is in a position as early as July for cuts on CNBC. This might be what's moving markets right now. Look at this. So I'm going to post this news in chat. Fed's Waller on CNBC said that central banks should look through tariff effects on inflation. The Fed is in a position as early as July for cuts, according to CNBC, which would be next month. I don't know if this is legit or not, but we're right around these highs again. Let's see if we hold now. It's a pretty big dip, though. Like, look at this 22,000 level. We're pulling right back to it. I want to see if we bounce here, in all honesty. A 22 big whole dollar level. We've been testing it all morning. So I'm really curious to see if we pop right here. But who knows? We might just dump. You never know with markets, especially right now with all this crazy news coming out. So The market's going up big and down big and up big and down big. It's not really holding any specific trend or direction here, to be honest. It's hard to capitalize on. All right, so they say we got some missile news coming out overseas too. So we pushed all the way down here, and then now we're back up some. Strange. Look at this spike. Wow. Yeah, missile news coming out overseas. They're looking at striking Israel is what I'm showing right now. We're back over 22,000, which I think is good, but see if we hold at 22K. That's what I want to see. Here's 22. See if we bounce here. Right at 22,000 again right here. We're like exactly at the level. All right, we made it. We got to basically 1,500 on one. We did bounce right here at 22,000. Look at the SPY push up. It's trying to get over the previous closing price at 597s. Also, guys, if you haven't already, check out Top Step. Top Step is a beautiful way to learn how to day trade. Most day traders lose. And so if you try to fund your own account, let's just be honest here, you're probably going to lose. Instead, try Top Step. They give you a 50K demo. They test your skill with it. If you pass the test, they fund you. If you fail, you only lose what you pay for it. The base one is $50 a month. If you pass it, you get a 50K funded account, 90% split. If you fail, you only lose $50. It's not the end of the world. $50 a month, that is. Great way to learn how to day trade when most day traders lose. It just makes sense. And most day traders are going to have value in this because it limits your risk. If you pass it, you get a 50K funded account, 90% split. You get to keep your first 10K in profit. So it's similar to funding your own account. If you fail, you're out $50. It's not the end of the world. It's a beautiful way to learn. Futures market, you can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, gold, some currencies, commodities. Very similar to day trading stocks, just no PDT rule. You know, you can't trade individual stocks, but you can trade like the S&P, the NASDAQ, all that stuff. It just makes sense. And again, they pay out millions. They fund thousands. If you use my link, go to Top Step X, you get 0 commission. No PDT rule in futures. So just check it out. I'll put the link up. They are an affiliate of mine or sponsor of mine. I'm biased because I get paid by them. But I think they're genuinely useful for traders. And I'll put the link up if you want to check it out. Great way to help support the channel. Can't guarantee anything. You want to confirm it all with them. But yeah, I'll put the link up if you want to check it out. Here's the link. Yeah, so we're holding at 22,000 on the NASDAQ. The S&P is, or the SPY is trying to hold as well. It's right under that previous closing price. So we kind of, I think we have some pressure. Yeah, I'll switch to this one and try to trade it. I'm going to buy this dip. There we go. We got in just in time. And I'm going to hold this, try to hold it break even. We only have 10 micros, so one NASDAQ contract basically, but The problem is news has been breaking this morning over and over again, so it does influence like the volatility here. I'll let 22,000 be kind of my level here, but I feel like the market wants to hold over 22K. We'll add 5 here, but there we go. We're about flat. There we go. We're bouncing right there at 22,000. There we go. Nice. We're going to take some off here. Cut some more here. Slightly green on the day. I need to add a little bit more. There we go. Take a little off there. I'm going to cut it right here. We got the bounce exactly at 22,000 that we wanted. So we got this bounce here. Yeah, triple wedging day is huge. I'm trying to see if I can catch any more of this overseas news that's coming out. All right, so the Fed's Waller says we might see inflation rise 0.3 or 0.5%. He said the Fed has a mandate to worry about unemployment and inflation, not to provide cheap financing for the Fed government. He said workers are not in a position to demand higher wages in response to tariffs, a reason not to worry about second round effects. He said the Fed has a mandate to worry about unemployment and inflation, not to provide financing. He said tariffs will not be completely passed through. A 10% tariff on all imports would not have much impact on inflation overall. Yeah, and so what made the market spike up is that Waller said earlier, he said they could cut rates as early as July meeting, which would be next month's meeting. So when is the July Fed meeting? Okay, so it's at the end of next month. Okay. I don't know if we're going to have any cuts this year. I don't know if we're going to end red or green today. I really don't know. I slept most of yesterday, guys. I'm not really... Again, I don't know what's wrong with me. But I'm not feeling 100%. My nose is all stuffed up. We're over this level, this 22,000 level we've been talking about, so. Yeah, if we take a look at the Fed Watch tool, guys. Here's the Fed Watch tool. If we take a look at it, we're at 90% of a likelihood of a pause in July, about 10% likelihood of a cut. So we're still 90-10 per July. So it's not looking very probable that we're going to cut next month, but it could happen. If we get low inflation data and weak economics, that might influence that. Yeah, for sure, pawn. Yeah, I did a poll last week on or on Wednesday on how many cuts y'all think we're gonna get this year. I think most people think we're gonna get like 1 to 2 cuts. A lot of people actually voted no cuts, so about a third of people voted 0 cuts this year. Does anybody out there think we're gonna have 0 cuts? No cuts. Starting to believe 0, 2 cuts, maybe 3. I don't know, guys. At least 1 for sure. No cuts. No idea. I'm thinking 1. I'm thinking 1 maybe now, but just because they changed the expectation of how many cuts we get this year on Wednesday to 1. All right, so look at that 22,000 hold, and now we're pushing up here. Let's see if we continue higher, but still pushing up. Look at this. So we're testing 22,025 here. Maybe this could be a level. We'll see. I don't really have any levels over this. Where's all-time highs on the NASDAQ? What is it? It's like 22 something, right? All-time highs on the NASDAQ, I think, is 22,450. So we still got about $450 to go in the NQ to break all-time highs. The SPY is now technically green on the day, though, so that's good. SPY's at 597 to 50s, but technically over that previous closing price. So it's technically green on the day now. All right, so the president is calling for a 250 base point cut. The U.S. is on the brink of joining stuff. CPI has fallen towards the Fed's 2% target, but still over it. Yeah, I'm looking at some other stuff, but oh, dude. All right, so look at this test 25. Let's see if we actually hold. We drew this level not that long ago, but look at the market rip. So the market's heading up here. No, I'm not in a trade right now. Eat breakfast? Oof, I don't know. Qatar Energy CEO met this week on the problems overseas with energy firm executives, according to Reuters. All right, so we did rip over 25. I don't really have any levels above this. I think I got rid of most of my levels last week. But I think we can look at whole dollar levels like 50 here. Quarter dollar levels like 75 here. Quarter hundred at least. 22.1. You know, maybe 22.2, and just kind of use that as a guide for now. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like I said this many times, and people get so emotional about politics. Like, they think I'm, like, attacking them. You know, the real issue is that, like, look, if we could cut rates never endingly without having any consequence to inflation, we would, right? The risk right now is inflation. But the risk can also be economic weakness. I think it's nuanced enough and it's in the middle enough to where you could probably argue either side relatively comfortably. The problem is that people act like a rate cut is so obvious right now. And I don't know, like we cut a full percentage point last year at the end of last year. And then we've paused since then. But we don't have a super weak labor market to justify rate cuts. We don't have like super high unemployment. We don't have super weak GDP. GDP is the weakest one though, for sure. GDP showed up in the prelim data. I think last time it was minus 0.2% for the revision. And we get another GDP release next Thursday, tomorrow or next week on Thursday, which of course we're going to cover live as we always do. But you know, we're somewhere in the middle right now. And so I think people that are acting like the obvious move on either side is probably exaggerating or embellishing it a little bit. I think you could argue a rate cut. I said this on Wednesday. I think you could probably argue a 25 basis point cut on this past Wednesday, you know, a few days ago. I think you could also argue a pause, and both of them you can have pretty good arguments for. And so I don't think the decision is obvious. And of course, like you got to understand, the president, regardless of which side, right? And you can't really knock him for it either. But the president, regardless of which side, is going to want bragging rights to their presidency. And how do they get bragging rights? They say, hey, you know, the economy's booming under my watch. That's what they want. You know, and how do you make the economy boom? You get low interest rates. You maybe print some money. The consequence of all this stuff is inflation, you know, which we've seen a lot of over the last 5 years. But every president's going to want lower interest rates during their watch, right? Like very rarely is a president going to say, hey, let's wait, let's focus on inflation. Most of the time, they're going to want low interest rate environment because it stimulates the economy, makes the economy strong under their presidency and so forth and so on, right? But that's not always the right move. And I think right now, especially over the last 5 years, you got to take a look at inflation and really recognize the risks to inflation, because inflation has been crazy for 5 years, even with it being at relatively low levels now at 2.1 or 2.2%. Inflation can spike very easily, you know? And so I'm neutral, to be honest, right now on whether I think we should cut rates. I think you could argue a 25 basis point cut. You could also argue a pause, as long as we cut some this year. Look at the NASDAQ spiking up. We're at 37s right now, 37s. Yeah, well, I'm the opposite. Eric says I would rather have 0 interest on a car, 2% mortgage rate, and buy $5 for a bottle of soda or $8 for milk. I'm the opposite. I would rather have cheap prices and higher interest rates, you know, because again, I'm not taking out a bunch of loans, and so I don't really care what the interest rates are, to be completely real with you guys. But I think I might not be in the majority of people there, you know, and so it's nuanced, and I can recognize, like, it's a very subjective thing right now, depending on your current situation. Yeah, and the real issue is the tariffs and the impact that they have on inflation, right? Like, that's the worry. That's why, like, if we didn't have the tariffs, we probably would have cut rates already. But the tariffs have also negatively affected GDP, which is more of an argument for rate cuts. So, yeah. And you also have to understand, like, lenders are pushing low interest rates. Like, lenders and banks, they want low interest rates, of course, because they do more business with low rates. They're not really caring about the consequence of inflation on everybody else, because inflation should freak everybody out right now, you know? Like, because when does it stop? Prices don't really go back down. You can always lower interest rates and get cheaper rates and refinance later down the line, but you're not going to make prices go back down, which is the worry, right? Like, you're not going to get prices to go back down, not unless we go into like a deep recession or depression where prices have any type of significant decrease. Usually, not on average, at least. Some, you could isolate some prices and be like, hey, they went down or whatever, especially energy and food, because they're very volatile and they go up and down, up and down. But outside of that, you're not really going to get lower prices. And so I'd rather us have price stability for a few years and you know, but I also understand like realtors and lenders and, you know, they want low interest rate environments. It's hard to buy a house right now. Prices are crazy. Rent is high. You know, it's a tough market. Ugh. The market's mostly pumping. Well, I don't know if we have a real reason to pump. I mean, there's two things that are happening right now in markets. Number one, we had some easing or cooling of tensions on the Middle East. That's number one. Number two is we got the Fed's Waller saying we might get a rate cut as early as July, which is next month. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but Waller's saying it could, and that's making people more optimistic. Now, you know, I'm not really going to buy that. I think I don't think we get a rate cut next month, but we could, maybe. You know, do you guys think we cut rates next month? I don't personally think we do, but yeah, I mean, Sandy, I'm pretty neutral right now. I don't remember saying the opposite of what he said. But if I did, I mean, you know, everything in economics is subject to change. And again, my current opinion has to do with the understanding that Powell already cut rates three times last year, right? And so saying, hey, we're somewhere in the middle right now, I think it's pretty reasonable, regardless of whether I was on either side prior to that, because we have new data. You know, Powell cut rates 3 times last year. He cut rates 50 basis points in September, 25 in November, and 25 in December. It's a full percentage point. And so I said this Wednesday, I'm okay with doing a 25 basis point cut if we continue QT. Or I'm okay with pausing if we end QT. You know, like maintain balance. That's what I'm about right now. But you never know. Again, me saying I'm in the middle, regardless of whether it contradicts something else I said 8 months ago, you know, I don't think it matters much. But hey, you know, it's all love. I longed on my other account here at 22,000 and then got up to 1,500 or so, and now I'm trading a different account. Consumer sentiment 10 a.m. No, I don't think we have Michigan consumer sentiment. No, we don't have that today. No. Look at this bounce here. 25 bounced at that one too. Just been a lot of strength this morning. There wasn't a revolving tariff. Yeah, exactly. It's things are different right now. Anybody that uses something that 8 months ago, when so much stuff has changed since then, I mean, usually they're just trying to find something wrong, right? Either way, I'm very neutral right now. I think you could argue either side based off of what's happened over the last 6 to 8 months. I think you really argue either side. Let's see if 2250 works here. But what's up, Blaze? Oil, where's oil at? I'm assuming the oil is down a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, oil's down a little bit. Understandably so. I mean, a lot of the reason we're pumping up right now is because there's been some cooling in Middle Eastern stuff going on. And so that's going to make oil decrease some. But it didn't really hold, and it's kind of flat, really. It's down a little bit, but not enough to really, you know. Yeah, I'm also reading. You said the absolute opposite of this when Powell cut rates a month before the election with worse inflation and data than we have now. We might have had worse inflation, but we didn't have worse data for sure. You know, the data now, like GDP last year at the end of the, like I covered it. I remember it was very positive GDP. I think now GDP is like 0.2%, 0.3% negative. It might be something like that. But either way, a lot of stuff's changed in the last 8 months. Yeah, I don't know. We've just been ripping up here. Once you figure out the fake market, your life will be better. I mean, the market might be fake, like regardless of any of that stuff. It doesn't matter. You just got to play what the market gives you. You know, I think you could probably justifiably argue that a lot of data is influenced, manipulated, and pulled in different directions for different agendas. I think that's pretty standard in any market, in any big money situation. Like one of the benefits, I say this all the time, but one of the benefits of having big money is you can influence things with it. And I can't really knock people that do it either, because that's the whole point of having that much money, is to be able to influence things. But again, I'll say it once, I'll say it again. Nobody screams manipulation more than somebody that's wrong. And I'm not saying that's you, but it's really easy to discredit any data that you don't want to agree with and just say it's not real, right? Now, whether it's real or not at any given moment, it could change. I don't know. It could be anything. Again, I'm not against you necessarily. I'm not even disagreeing with you necessarily. I'm just saying you got to look at the data. And regardless of whether you think it's real or not, you got to watch how it influences things and then try to play that. All right, so let's see if we bounce at 25. Right, exactly. Who cares if the market is fake? Trade the charts. All right, we're at 25s. Let's see if we hold. We bounce directly off of it. We've just been pushing up a lot. Why is today quadruple witching? Well, technically it's triple witching, but it's known pretty heavily as quad witching. It's a day of volatility where all the major contract types expire. Now, technically it's only 3, but almost everybody still calls it quad witch. Some people call it triple witching. But today you have single stock options, index options, and index futures expiring today. The big volatility usually comes either at the opening bell, or you also get it like at power hour, the last hour of the day, from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. All right, so we got this 25 level. I would buy the dip, but I think too many dip buys have worked recently. This one worked. This short one worked. This one worked. And so once you get 1, 2, 3 dips that work, eventually they're not going to work. So eventually they're going to trap, and then you're going to get a squeeze sometimes. I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but too many dips have worked recently, and we have too much extension on the upside for me to buy this. It might work. It might go up to here and then do the same thing. But in terms of like probabilities, I'm just not interested in it right now. So I'm just waiting. We got 20 minutes until the opening bell. We'll see how that goes. We got the Philly Fed index show a little bit weaker manufacturing data than expected. So, and then next week we got a whole bunch of stuff coming out. We got services and manufacturing, PMI, Case-Shiller. We got Powell speaking twice next week. We've got new home sales, jobless claims, GDP data, PCE data, Michigan consumer sentiment data next week. So a lot of stuff going on. GDP was 3% in September 2024 before rate cuts. It's 3.4% now. Do you really think GDP is 3.4% right now? Let me see. Let me make sure you're... The U.S. GDP decreased at an annual rate of 0.2% in the first quarter of 2025. So we're literally minus 0.2% for GDP right now, brother. At least like we get the finalized version next week, but we're at minus 0.2 right now, annualized. So yeah, we're definitely not at 3.4%. If you're looking at the Atlanta Fed GDP now, that is not an accurate metric of where we're at. Again, just to put this into perspective, the Atlanta Fed GDP now we were at like minus 4% a month and a half ago, you know? And so I'm not saying they're not accurate, but they're not accurate. Yeah, if you're looking at the Atlanta Fed GDP, yeah, I mean, Atlanta Fed GDP is... I'm looking at the actual GDP report. Yeah. Yeah, maybe negative GDP in quarter one was one off. That's possible. Atlanta Fed is just not accurate. I cover it when it happens, but it's just not accurate. It really isn't. I've said this before we even got into this conversation. I've said this probably at least 3 or 4 times over the past 2 weeks. Like I'll talk about the Atlanta Fed coming out. It happens every couple weeks, really, but it's just not accurate. It ranges so much. You know, a couple weeks ago they had it super negative for the year. Now they have it at positive 4% or something crazy. It just varies too much. It goes back and forth. So. All right, so look, we're still testing this 25 level. Let's see if we hold. So, effective federal funds rate for yesterday, or the day before, I should say, is 4.33%, unchanged. Yeah, we're basically completely sideways now. I hope they continue that Waller talk for at least... Yeah, I mean, Waller's been bumping markets. I mean, look, Waller can say whatever he wants. I don't think it's going to have any influence. He said we could cut rates as early as July. You know, that's true. I might win the lottery 3 times in a row today. You know, it could happen. Cheers to Fed Waller. We're sitting over 25 right now. Again, kind of sideways. It does look like a little mini flag, but again, we're up too much. We've too many dips have worked. Now, maybe we do cut rates in July. You know, you can certainly argue it. And again, going back to GDP, you can argue it because we had negative GDP. So people are going to say, hey, let's get in front of this and let's cut interest rates now as a precautionary measure. I don't know. We don't really have the weak payroll data. What was payrolls last? What was the last non-NFP report? I think they were stronger than expected slightly. Yeah, they showed 139,000 jobs in May. Unemployment stayed at 4.2%. And so the contradictory data is payrolls, and unemployment stayed the same. I mean, as of now, we only got about a 10% chance of a rate cut next month. So it's probably not happening, but it could. We'll see. Ugh. I do feel a little better today. I'm still not 100% though, to be honest. All right, chat. Yeah, we're gonna be live day trading the opening and bell in 15 minutes. Let's see how it goes. All right, so we basically haven't moved chat in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. In about 25 minutes, we haven't really moved much. Again, I would buy 25, but I'm not super confident in it. I think we've gone up too much. I had a pony one time. So my grandmother grew up in a small country town, and that's where I hung out when I was a kid a lot. One year I did get a pony. One year I got a pony. Its name was Sunshine, but it stayed at my grandma's house. So my grandma really got a pony and she let us ride it. And so we rode that pony. We got super excited. We're like, yeah, we got a pony. I was so young at the time, I vaguely remember this. But the next time we showed up, the pony had like fallen in a ditch during a storm and like couldn't get out and unfortunately passed away. It's a story I tell my kids. It's like a childhood story of mine that I tell my kids. So I had a pony once. I don't really want another pony. Rest in peace, you know. Yeah. This is a true story. I tell my kids this story as a bedtime story. I tell them this. I tell them about where I broke my finger because somebody threw a brick at me. And I slipped and fell on the ground. And then the brick came over and like landed right on my index finger on my left hand. Broke it. Look at the market rip up here, chat. There's some stories I tell my kids about my childhood. They're good stories, though. I'll tell you that story later. All right, so Meta announces limited edition Oakley Meta glasses. A new category of performance AI glasses will be available for pre-order starting July 11th. I don't know why the market's spiking. Let me see if there's some reasons for this. I guess it's Meta news. Let's check it out. Meta's ripping up to almost 7. Look at this NASDAQ spike here. Wow. I mean, Meta's up, but there's no liquidity. I don't think it's influencing this too much. Look at my levels, though, bro. I'm just going to brag about my levels real quick. Look at that level. Look at this one. Hey. You know. Oil coming down a little bit. I don't see any other breaking news, though. Let me see. I'm looking here, chat, but I don't really see anything outside of the Meta news, Meta glasses, Oakley news. I used to like Oakleys, but now I'm not really a fan. Are Oakleys cool again? There was a period of time in like the late 2000s where Oakleys were like the cool glasses. Then apparently they pivoted to where they were kind of for like, I don't know. I don't know how to even describe. And so people stopped wearing Oakleys. All right, so Iran's foreign minister said that we were supposed to meet the Americans on June 15th to craft a very promising agreement on our enrichment program. We are determined to defend our territorial integrity and sovereignty with all force, they say. Maybe this is the news influencing markets. So Iran's first minister is speaking at the UN Human Rights Council currently. He's got to be saying something optimistic because the NASDAQ's ripping up here. Are they cool again? Oakleys? I really don't know. Usually I just buy Ray-Bans. No. I think Ray-Ban kind of took the top spot. But I don't really know. I'm terrible with sunglasses. I will break a pair of sunglasses in 30 minutes. Accidentally. Not intentional, but got ADHD. I sit on them. I keep them in my pocket is usually what happens. Out of the case. I keep them in my pocket. Forget they're there. And then, yeah, they just break. All right, SPY, rip it up. Apple's making a move. Nvidia's bouncing here at the previous close. Still heading up here. I had a hamster, Rocky. I got a hamster story. It was a life lesson. NASDAQ's still ripping up, though. I'll tell you guys in a second. But I got a hamster story. Yeah, I still can't breathe out of my nose. I'm trying. This has got to be from the minister guy speaking at the council meeting. It's got to be. I don't really see any other breaking news. I'm still trying to check for you guys, but we got 7 minutes until the market opens. We'll see what we get. I guess the market's moving up on this guy. So 5 minutes ago, which is right around when this stuff happened, they said the attack was a betrayal of diplomacy. They were supposed to meet Americans on June 15th to craft a promising agreement on the enrichment. We're determined to defend our territorial integrity and sovereignty. I don't know why this would make the market go up, though. It sounds more conflict heavy than cooling of conflicts to me personally, but we'll see. Yeah, I feel a little better, but I'm not 100% for sure. I feel a little bit better, but it's not that much better. All right, so now we're coming right back down. Look at Nvidia dump here. So Nvidia just dumped pretty fast. Let me look up news on Nvidia here. Look at Nvidia fall on the right side, bottom right. My nose is completely stopped up. It's better than it was, though. European Commission has concluded tariff preferences for non-fuel ethanol imports from Pakistan. See, it's not really influencing the SPY. It seems like it's just tech. Meta just ripped up over highs. Apple dumped too, so it's Nvidia, Apple. Yeah, the life lesson, it was actually a parakeet named Pete. So I had a parakeet named Pete. And I also had a cat named Waffles. And apparently Pete got away from me one day and Waffles got to him. It was traumatic. I cried, you know. I learned to put Waffles outside before I play with parakeets. Life lesson. All right, so we're starting to move up. I don't really see any breaking news that's going to influence this. I see European Commission has concluded tariff preference for non-fuel ethanol imports. I don't know how that's really going to affect Apple very much, but it seems to not be influencing the SPY, and it's only really influencing like major tech, Apple, Nvidia. Could be the guy speaking at the council right now from the Middle East. That could be what it is. You ever miss the ferrets? I missed one of them. Zelda was the sweetest baby ferret ever. The other two ones we got, they would steal all Zelda's food. I named them Ganon and... what was the other one? It was Ganon and Link. Ganon and Link were little jerks. Zelda was a sweetheart. I miss her. I don't miss the other two. They got really big quickly, too, and turned into just big bullies, man. They would, like, bogart all the food and not let them eat. Look at the volatility we're getting. Look at the SPY rip. Look at the NASDAQ. Up to 22.1. Nvidia broke highs as well. SPY's going up testing 600s right now. Wow. It's weird. I don't see any breaking news here either from any source. And if you guys see what's driving this market, maybe the market's just ripping just because the market's ripping. We got a minute and a half before the opening bell. I guess it could just be quad witching, triple witching day volatility. That's possible too. But outside of this, I don't really see any move or any news that could justify this price action. Yeah, I don't really see any breaking news. Oil going down though, so maybe this is potentially from Middle Eastern conflict cooling. But could be Waller speaking. Yeah, he spoke earlier. That's what started this. We covered it. He basically thought we could get a rate cut as early as July. I mean, I think he's wrong. But okay, so the Iranian foreign minister arrives at the Geneva venue for talks with their European E3 counterparts. That could be what it is. All right, we got about 5 seconds as the opening bell here, chat. So we'll see what we get. All right, there's the bell. All right, so we're starting to see pullbacks here. Nvidia's heading up though. Look at this dip. All right, we retraced all the way back up. Nvidia still looks like it's trying to run. SPY is up there. We're looking at Apple as well here. Apple's still under 200, but it's close enough to it. That's a big retracement here as well. I'm going to wait at least 3 minutes, 4 minutes until I trade after the bell. It's just not worth the risk. All right, look at NVIDIA's spike here, though. Look at NVIDIA up to 146. NVIDIA's getting close to all-time high, so I do want to buy this a little bit here. All right, we're a minute and a half in. NVIDIA's getting close to all-time highs, so that's what I'm looking for. But I also got to watch for it to turn. If it turns down... All right, look at this dip. NVIDIA's technically, it was technically red. Apple's pumping up though. Apple's about to test 200s. Oh, I feel like I gotta sneeze. $22.1. Just tapped it. Look at that. NVIDIA looks like it's coming down, though. Let's see if it holds. You know when you want to sneeze, but you can't, and you get like that little twinkle that feels like you got to sneeze, but you just can't? That's what it feels like right now. Like I need to sneeze, but it just won't happen. And you can't force it. You know, you can blow your nose, but it's not the same. You guys know what I mean. I've been sick for 2 days now. Ugh. All right, let's see if 2075 holds. Looks like it kind of is. The only thing I don't like NVIDIA looking weak. It looks like we're going to come back down now. Apple's ripping up, though. Yeah, 22.1 rejecting really obviously here. We're at 22.1s right here. Look at the sun. I got these things over my windows. Y'all can't see them, but I got like, yeah, here. I got those over my windows. I can't look at the sun right now. I'm waiting here, chat. I'm trying to wait. I'm watching NVIDIA very closely, though. It's kind of influenced my direction a little bit. All right, Apple at 200s. NVIDIA starting to push back up here. It might reject, though. Very flat opening bell for quad witching or triple witching day. Part of me wants to short this. Let's see. I'll wait. Apple looks a little too strong to short, and we're too close to the highs. Yeah, there's NVIDIA bouncing back too, so I don't want to short right now for sure, but we'll see in hindsight if it was a good move or not to wait. Yeah, there goes NVIDIA turning to the upside, going green on the day again. Over 22.1s. Apple's right at 200s, though. I covered Circle this morning. Circle's dumping down as we suggested a lot this morning, too. I was thinking about buying put options, but the only thing that stopped me is an IPO. I don't even know if they have options right now. I have to look. Does Circle have options available? It's a little too late now. It just dipped from 230s down to 210s. So also, chat, check out Top Step. That's what we're day trading on today. No PDT rule in futures. And this is a situation where you don't have to deposit thousands and thousands of dollars. Maybe if you don't have that much money or you want to get started and risk less. Most day traders lose their first few accounts, so it doesn't make any sense to fund your own account. Instead, try this. They give you a 50K demo, 100K demo, 150K demo. Test your skill. If you pass it, they fund you. If you fail, you only lose what you pay for it. The base one's $50 a month. So it's not the end of the world if you lose it. If you pass it, you get a 50K funded account, 90% split, and you get to keep your first 10K in profit. So it's the best of both worlds, limited risk, similar reward. They fund thousands, pay out millions, some of the most legit and easy payouts, especially on their new dashboard. I can't guarantee anything, though. They're an affiliate or sponsor of mine. I'm biased. Understand CFTC 4.41, hypothetical or simulated performance have limitations. You can check out the link right there. You can also see a pin at the top of the chat. I'm biased in their favor, basically, because I get paid by them. But we're starting to push up. Ugh. Apple just tapped 200s. Circle does have options, but they're limited. Gotcha. Where's Tesla at this morning? Sorry, Corey. Even if you're joking, just to be safe. We're down to 329s. We got this kind of cup and handle shape pattern here, though, so I do kind of want to buy this dip, but I think there's too big of a chance that Apple comes back down under 200. Tesla's starting to turn down, too. We'll short. We'll add. Kind of back and forth here. We took some off. There we go. All right, we're out. We just made a few hundred. Nvidia did get that turnaround, but Apple's still holding up there. Yeah, y'all just be careful. Where's gold? Tesla coming down. Gold is rallying. Gold at almost 33.81. Getting up there. Kind of a flat open, though, except for Apple. Apple's ripping up. You can also give me a follow at Beginner Trades. We cover most of the breaking news. Still pushing up. Yeah. My mom was a teacher, so I get it. I was thinking about buying a put option on Circle this morning. But it's an IPO is what stopped me, like I said. I'm going to short this. So if we get a dip here, take half off or 45% or 60% off. We'll cut the rest break even there. We made something, not a lot, but a little bit on that one. Apple now over 200s here, but I'm going to short again, see if we dip. Maybe add to it if we get in the green. There's 4, there's 5. We get too close to that high, I'm going to cut it like this. Still green on the day, but I don't like that. It's too close to the highs. If Nvidia starts to push up, we might have like more synergy and blue chips on the upside, so. There we go. I'll take 20. Take a risk here. We already got a cushion, so we can play this risk. See if we come back down a little bit here. Hold on. And we took half off just to protect. There we go. And we'll cut the rest break even there. All right, so we're up over 2. All right, so look at this bounce right here at 22.1 that we had on our chart. We bounced directly off of it. Almost too obvious. Let's see if we come back down now. Maybe not, yeah. I guess it was clean. Yeah, have fun, Corey. Good luck, bro. Yeah, there we go. We're starting to head back down. Very sideways. I'm going to short this just to see if we get some sideways chop. There we go. Took most of it off already. We'll add a little piece here. Try to hold it break even now. There we go. All we can really do is attack. There we go. All right, so we're up about 3 on the day. All we can really do is this attack sideways chop here. All right, so here's 22.1. We'll try to play this level too. The only problem is Nvidia's pushing up, so it might be a buy the dip situation. Let me see though. I'm not telling you what to do. Not an investment professional. We'll try it. We got a cushion, so we can take some risk here. There we go. Flat. I want to give it a chance to go back higher, but I could add a piece to this, see if it works. See, Nvidia pulled back, but there we go. There we go. That's what we wanted. We'll hold the rest break even now. See if we get a much larger win here, like this. We'll hold the rest break even, like I said, if it pushes down, but all right. All right, so we're up about 350 now, but kind of a break-even trade, to be honest. Let me try buying this actually again. So I'm seeing some things I like here. I didn't mean to. We made a little bit just now, but I wanted to add more to this. Is what I was trying to do. The reason I want like look, Apple's at 200 psychological level. Nvidia's right testing the highs of the day. Here we go. Took half off there. There we go. We'll hold the rest break even now. All right, we're out and tested the break even level. So we're about 4 on the day now. And we got out before it pushed down. See, I'm still curious to see what Apple does. It's right at 200. Nvidia right at that high level. Let me switch to different accounts. All right, I'm gonna buy one micro contract right here. See if we get a little pop retracement back up. Maybe add to 2. There we go. Got something, but we got a lot of support here, so I want to try to add another piece to it just because it's small right now. There we go. All right, so we cut that. Now we're coming back down. I'm gonna buy this again. See if we can catch it. Got a little green here. Popped up quick, but it's having a hard time holding here. So I'm going to cut some of this. We're slightly red on the day now on this one, but let me try to fix the average and buy this 50 level. There's 50. The only problem is this looks like there could be bad news. Let's see though. Alright, so we made a little bit there. Trying to see if there's, make sure there's no news that came out. Kind of want to buy this again, but we'll look to add slowly scale into it. See if we retrace back up now. There we go. Kind of flat here. Might add another piece of this, 2 micro contracts, take a risk. See if we pop back up now. Looks like we're due for a bounce, but you never know. There we go. I hate it when my entry acts as resistance, though. That's never fun. There we go. Green again. There we go. There we go. Nicely green now. We caught the bounce. I thought we were due for a bounce, and we were. Just so much red here. You know, starting to establish a position here and then adding it and then catching a high probability bounce made sense, I think, but I don't know what I want to do with this. I'm watching Nvidia. Nvidia is slightly green but flat mostly. Apple's pretty green on the day too. We got the leading indicator going live at 10, but I don't think it's going to move anything. We're running into a lot of support here too. But if the market starts to trend, look at Nvidia turn red. Let me make sure nothing happened here. Hold on. We got a report that said U.S. tech jobs are declining. Since August of 22, the tech industry has lost over 25,000 jobs, almost down 20%. That could be weighing on tech. XAI's $5 billion debt raise commitment deadline is today with allocation on Monday. So we're getting some consolidation, but I do see Apple starting to rise, so we will buy this short term. Small micro contracts though, so see if we get a little pop that we can take money into. I'm going to reduce size a little bit. See if we get a little pop back up, so it's not the end of the world if we're wrong here. I could add to this, but I think the risk is too high. I just want to see if we bounce. I gotta cut that now. So we're still green on this account on the day. We'll come back to a different account and trade one of our challenge accounts now. Okay. Try buying into this now. We got a decent cushion on this account, so we've got the room to let it work some. There we go. Cutting a lot of this break even now. Problem is Nvidia just spiked, so let's see if we bounce here at 25 and we can scale into a position here. There we go. Slightly green now. Might want to reduce some of the size here though. The more it battles this, I'm going to cut some of the size. There we go. Maybe I shouldn't have cut the size, but hold the rest break even or close to it. Yeah. Still breaking down pretty significantly, but NASDAQ's mostly just been breaking down here. I'm trying to see what stock is dragging it down, though. It's hard to put, like, let me look. I'm trying to see what stock this is. I'm looking at Apple. I'm looking at Nvidia here. Just kind of keeps coming down, though. Headphones. Yeah, I've been sick for the last few weeks. All right, so we had the leading indicator that just came out. It showed up at minus 0.1% as expected. Nothing really crazy. We got European consumer confidence showing up sometime here too. But honestly, the market's just been dumping down all morning. I'm waiting to see if we get a little bounce here. We've been breaking down for the last 20, 30 minutes. Just a relief bounce makes sense, but we'll give it some time. Pretty strong bounce here. But then it rip back down. We'll see if it rebounds. It's too red for me to want to short it. It's too extended on the downside for me to really want to long it here. So we're somewhere like right in the middle. We just kind of keep falling. All right, so Circle ripped back up. Circle at 226s right now. So Circle's still pushing here on the upside. Market's just getting shorted though. Market just seems really heavy. It's hard to like stay green, it looks like, in this market. Like it rips up and then it gets pushed back down. It rips up, gets pushed back down. So we'll see if it holds, but tougher market for sure. See if it retraces back up. Just a 1 minute red candle and then a push down. Yeah, we're slightly green on most of the accounts we're trading on, but I'm going to get out of here, guys. Y'all be safe. Listen, check out Top Step. Beautiful way to learn day trading. Most day traders lose. So if you put up your own money, you're probably going to lose. This teaches you how to trade, learning under pressure. You have a structured environment. You got to make $3,000 in a demo without losing 2K first for the base when it's $50 a month. You got to make the demo is 50K. It runs parallel with which challenge you have. If it's the $50, you get 50K funded, 50K challenge. You got to make 3K in profit on a demo. If you pass it, they fund you 50K, 90% split. You get to keep your first 10K. If you fail, you lose $50. So it's limited risk, similar reward to funding your own account. You get to keep your first 10K prior to the split kicking in. So it just makes sense in that regard. They pay out millions, fund thousands. It's just a beautiful way to learn. You can check out the link right there. I'm going to get out of here, guys. Good luck. Y'all be safe. I'm still kind of sick, so I've been sick for the last few days, so I'm going to go lay down. Y'all be good. Be safe in this market. I love you all. Y'all have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow. Tons of stuff going on next week, so just be ready. I'll see you guys then. Y'all be good. Remember, not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. Can't guarantee anything. Not an investment professional, guys. But yeah, check out Top Step.